Hey, welcome back everyone. Rob here from Ram Studio Comics. So in today's video, we're going to talk noses again. I know, real exciting, right? Drawing the human nose. But you got to know how to do it, okay? I know, bad humor there. But anyways, in a previous video, probably a couple of videos, I mentioned drawing the nose by using primitive blocky kind of shapes, right? So say we draw a nose something like this, and we're like, we've got this basic representation that most people, I would say 99% of people on the planet can draw this, maybe with a ruler. And then, you go to add the nostrils and you do something like this, right? This is just a bit silly. This is how you draw a Transformer nose, okay? Optimus Prime, does he have a nose? No, Optimus doesn't, I don't think. Anyways, if you wanted to draw a Transformer nose, it's something like this. But let me show you a different way. So this is one way to do it, and this isn't a bad way. This is a way that, I teach us a lot, right? Basic primitive shapes, and then you tone this back, you draw through it, and you have to get more creative and then develop a nose through here. And you got to still have an understanding of what a nose looks like, or maybe this isn't going to help you so much. And you're going to take this and you're going to draw, different variations of this nose. You want to really mix it up. There's lots of different noses out there, right? So you're also going to look at reference and then develop some kind of stylized interpretation of that nose. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Let me show you another way, really the primary way that I've been doing it in my own illustrations. So that was definitely the way that I used to do it more and more in the past. But nowadays, I really do this. I think about the V shape from the brow. Okay, so here's something like V-shape, triangle, upside down triangle, but the V is right there, right? So then we come down from that and we do the arch of the nose and then the bulbous part of the nose with an oval or a circle, okay? So it's a triangle, a bent line, a circle. Again, doesn't get much easier than that. But what this means to me is it's, again, kind of that base representation of those primitive shapes, but in this case, a little bit more of an airy feeling, I think, than trying to draw that very structural approach. So as I draw through this now, I'm going to think about the areas that I want to see in my work, and that's going to be the line here, a little bit of this nose arch, I don't know what you call it. I think it's the arch, right? Anyways, the cartilage part of the nose, the bend. Some people it's not a bend, or some people it's not an inward bend. Again, we're going to do a couple of variations of this, but just think about this sweeping line, right? And remember too that sometimes you're not going to have it as defined, or you're going to start thin and have it get thicker. Especially on the female nose, you're generally going to use less definition on this area of the illustration. But again, these are style choices, and it's all very subjective. But the tip of the nose will bring this down and around like this, okay? And so what we have to think about here is that we get a little bit of a bend of the nose here. You get this portion of the nose that comes down and back towards the face, okay? So it's also good to have a center line, an approximate center line of the face going on. That's going to coincide with this triangular shape. But the nose comes back, it meets to the center of the face, then this might even go up again. And then for the opening, the nostrils, you're just going to play around with these little C shapes, like these little half moon shapes, whatever. And so you're going to tilt these different ways, okay? So you're going to play around with like more angle, less angle, wider, smaller, right? You're going to vary those up. The main thing is that they just should have some kind of consistency across. So let's just draw a line across. Why is my tablet not picking up that line? Okay, so across this way, boom, boom, a couple little C shapes, right? Similar type C shapes like this, but these ones are going to be, they need to go past these, okay? So common, like amateurish thing I think you see is where people draw noses like this. It doesn't read, I don't know, that poorly, I guess, but it's not really the way it is, right? Your skin doesn't go right to the very edge of the nostril. So you got to just think about that a little bit. But, even if it just goes past a little. And why is it that that looks worse now all of a sudden. But, and also it shouldn't be too close. There needs to be room for the width of the skin right here, right? So if you're picturing the depth or the width of the skin as it curls around to meet the nostril. So a little darkening, a little shadow there under the nostrils. Maybe the other side of where the brow tapers into the nose there. And just like that, we've got this nose. Now the other thing you can do if you want a more, let's get rid of that initial layer. If you want a more detailed rendition or more rendered version, you could start to think about the plane changes. So this would be a little bit more of a animated or cartoon-like version. And then I might bring the plane change down for the front of the nose. For this type of nose, I'd probably do something like that. I'd probably leave this side over here blank, but I might do something like this to develop the nose a little bit further. Okay, and I might do, if I'm going to shade this, then I'm going to think about the bottom plane change a little bit more. Go something like this. So maybe something like that. If I'm looking for a more rendered version, and then I'm obviously going to adjust this as I see fit, as I redraw it. So that's just a basic idea. So now let me show you this in a lot more of a quick fashion, because that looked like it was a lot of work, right? It took too long, but I just really want you to understand the process. So now I'm going to jump past that little triangle shape, just go for the way it meets the bridge of the nose. I'm going to bring that down, throw an oval, go for a little bit different style of a nose, something like this. So again, you're going to play with the proportions of different areas. You're going to adjust the shape itself of the bulbous part of the nose. I mean, you're going to vary everything up. You're going to extend the height of the nose, the width of the nose, the way in which the nostrils flare up and raise based on expressions, all sorts of variation. But just like that, we've got another version of a nose. Let's bring that one over to knock a couple of these bad boys out real quick. So you might want to get into more angles. Angles are typically like, villain nose, right? So you might do something like this. Let's bring this down. Smaller tip of the nose. Bring this back here. Attach the nostrils. We'll bring these up on more of an angle. For some reason, angular noses depict villains a little bit better, I think. It's all about that shape language, shape and line language. So you got to think about something like that. Really wide bridge. I always kind of offset this a little bit from one side to the other, and I shouldn't. Got to be aware of that. Obviously, lots of little wrinkles at the top of the brow. That also means it's a bad guy. Like, why are you so angry? You must be a villain. Nice people aren't angry, ever. Okay, so now let's bring that up here. And so what else? Let's try another angular nose, or let's try one that comes out away from the face more. Okay, so again, line where it connects to the brow. Let's bring this out. Let's try something like this. Bit of a penguin nose. So with this one, you're not even going to see the other nostril. So something like that. Big nostril over here. You can do the way it connects down to the side of the mouth. Okay, that's a bit caricaturized, but still, same idea. And again, you can throw in the basic shape before you get down to it. I didn't feel like I needed it right there. It's pretty simple, but just keep going. Because remember, the way you get better is variation. Lots of different exercises. Let's try another approach. So we're going to do the upside down triangle. We're going to bring this nose out, down, attach an oval. Let's think about this one in the way that it attaches to the face a little bit more. So the other thing you have to think about as you start to illustrate the rest of the face is this shape right here, this big triangle right there. So what this is the way that the nose attaches to the face. So you generally don't draw these lines. In some art styles you'll see it, but generally you kind of hint to this area. So let me erase this back and show you what I mean. So you've got the way it comes down, meets the bridge of the nose, give him this big kind of busted up nose. Bulbous part of the nose, or the nostrils, I mean. So like that. Okay, so we get this big, crazy looking nose. Well, the other thing to think about is this area right here. This is generally, you'll illustrate that a little bit more like this. Like kind of hint to this area and shade it out a little bit. But still something else you need to think about. And again, I think about this as a bit of a triangular shape overall, but then I don't draw all that. But I still think it's important to pay attention to what you see in these areas. Like what you got to start seeing shapes under what you're drawing and part of what you're drawing, and then it makes all this a lot easier. You start to come up with more ideas. And when in doubt, just really sketch. Really allow yourself to not land on your concepts too quickly. That's what sketching is all about. And if you're not, I feel like if you're not getting a really good idea of what it is you're trying to draw, you need to sketch more. You need to go back to thumbnailing and rough sketching, and do that as long as you need to. And this is personally this works for me. I do that as long as I need to get ideas going, and then jump into actually creating something. If not, it's kind of a waste of effort. Okay, so let's try another one. Let's see, we've got some rounded nose, a little petite nose, something more angular, more penguin-like, big brutish boxer guy. Now another thing I think is helpful is practice a lot of these from the side as well, because if you can draw it, generally it's easier to draw from the side, but you can take that information, I mentioned this over and over on the channel, you can take that information even though it's from the side, and you can relate that to your more dimensional version, which you really need to do that anyways, right? Because if you're going to draw characters in storytelling, you got to be able to draw them from different angles. So obviously you need to be able to draw something. So if it's easier for you to start from the side, do that. So we'll do that here. We'll start from the side. This is the area where the nose kind of comes back, meets the top lip, something like that. Okay. The nostril obviously doesn't touch the the opening of the nostril doesn't touch the I think it's called a wing of the nostril. Maybe, don't quote me on that. Okay, so now let's do this from an angle, and let's just establish a plane in perspective. So here's the plane that we're gonna have this nose reside in, something like that. And so the center line's here. We'll use the method we've been talking about, where we draw on the pyramid-like shape, upside down pyramid, that big bridge of the nose, bring that straight down, attach a oval, and in this one it's very angular and very boxy. So we're going to bring that straight back, like that. And I feel like, yeah, I already missed the mark, because basically if I look at the proportions from this to this, they just don't match. Okay, so what I'm going to do is do a little bit of a digital cheat here. Command Shift T, and I'm going to squish this right down, because it's just not the right proportion at all. And that's one of the reasons I like digital, because I can adjust my proportion so quickly. Okay, let's try this now. So very wide, very angular, or I shouldn't say angular, it's kind of angular, but it's a very boxy nose. And since I am drawing it from this perspective, I feel like you would see more of this. So I'm going to draw this right here a little bit, and then I would shade that out. And there you go. So that's my version of that nose in a different orientation and perspective. See if it works as I scale it up, because when they're roughly the same size, you can see more of the mistakes you might have made. But obviously we have to practice them in entirely different sizes so that, again, we can draw that character in a number of scenarios. But yeah, I think that's pretty close. Close enough, right? That's all we're after here, folks. Close enough. I'm kidding, not close enough. Go for your very best. Give it your all. You know, let's talk about studying while I time-lapse this next part and render this a little bit more. I heard an artist say, and it might have been Art Adams, I can't remember exactly who it was, but it seemed like sound advice. It was, when you are trying to be an artist, you have to study 50% of the time, and you have to spend the other 50% of your time creating your next masterpiece, right? And I know a lot of artists have different opinions about this. Some people just feel like as long as you're creating, you're getting better. So just focus on that next masterpiece. But I like to do these segmented studies because it allows me to really isolate my way of thinking and focus on that specific area and develop it. And so the other part of what they said is even after you become a professional, you should really probably do something like a 70-30, where you never really stop doing studies and trying to improve your understanding of specific areas of whether it be the body, whether it be light and shadow, you know, yada yada, right? The plethora of things that we have to study to be illustrators and especially comic artists. So just keep that in mind as you do these studies. Realize the value in them. Make time for them, and maybe be a little bit more aware of the percentage of time you're spending. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. More content is on the way very soon. As always, keep drawing, keep having fun, and bye for now.